Thank you, Ronnie. Oh, I guess I have to restart. I turn off the mic for the intro so I'm not talking over the intro, and I forget it sometimes. Uh, so, again, let me say this again. Thank you, Ronnie. Hello, good to see you. KKGG. K-Bell, good to see you. And let me restart. Defense forces are directing efforts to disrupt the execution of Russian invaders' offensive plans and exhaust their combat potential. Since the beginning of the day, there were 185 combat clashes, an increase over the average. The Russian enemy launched 64 airstrikes and 3 missile strikes using 106 glide bombs and 3 missiles. 793 kamikaze drones were used. Again, a jump up from the average over the last couple of days. And they carried out more than 4,000 artillery strikes in the last day. Again, a jump up from what they are normally doing. Kharkiv direction, Russian terrorists stormed the positions of Ukrainian units in the Voschansk district 8 times without success. The settlement of Kozachi Lopan was hit by an airstrike on which the enemy dropped 2 guide bombs. What I was saying that you guys couldn't hear is the enemy's attacking here, and even though they're not attacking over here, they dropped 2 glide bombs on this city. So that was happenings in the northern Kharkiv area. 3 times the enemy attacked our fortifications in Kupiansk in the areas of Kindrasha, Novoplatonivka, and Koloniskova. Get over here towards towards Kupiansk, Kurishkivka, and they had a bit of an advance here and here. You see the changes in the red zone. Russia also was attacking in this area, and Deep State is showing Russian control over this forest here. Which would what I find interesting is they're not showing complete control over it. This area is still in the green zone, and it will be interesting to watch what happens here, because that could easily cut off the Russian units in this forest. So something to keep an eye on over the next couple days. And let's head to Lemansky. Oh, hey there, Sally. Good to see you. Let me scroll down here so I can. The higher I keep this in on my screen, the more I look at the camera, and the more it looks like I'm talking to you, even though your chat's here. But it's just a projection thing for me to look at the camera better. 10 attacks by occupiers were repulsed by Ukrainian soldiers near Gorivka, Novisky, Turny, Novomykolaivka, Sirobiryanka in the Liman direction. The settlements of Zacherny, Liman, and Yampovlika were hit by guided aerial bombs. So Zarechny, Turny, and Torsky is here. Novomykolaivka, I don't see some of the ones where they dropped the bomb. Let me just double check my... Well, of course, Liman, Yampokli, and Zacchini. So, Liman dropped the guided bomb. Some of these other towns are harder to spot just because it's not going to be always going to be right on the front line. It could be in the back, behind the lines. And it's just hard to spot them sometimes. And I unfortunately am not seeing... Oh, Yampolivka is here. So right on the line there. So sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but I found one of them, and that's good, that's good for now, I guess. In the Service direction, the enemy made one attempt to dislodge our defenders from their occupied positions in the area of the village of Vermika. It also launched an airstrike on the districts of Zatany, Dronevsky, and Servisk. Service direction is here. Zanipki, Yamlinka, and I have to go back. Dronivka, okay. So the assault was in this area. Glide bomb here, and I'm wondering if it's that settlement there. But again, just, light on the attacks for right now, but it doesn't mean they're not under artillery fire and glide bombs from aviation in this area. In the Torsk direction, the occupiers stormed the positions of our defenders in Toretsk and Serebryanka districts 4 times today. The defense forces steadily restrained the onslaught, repelling all enemy attacks. And so, at least there wasn't any advances in Chasiv Yar, so taking a bit to load today. Toretsk and Serebryanka is here. And there we go. So, no updates from Deep State on this area today. And we get to Pokrovsk. The enemy is intensively attacking Ukrainian defenders in the Pokrovsk direction. During the day, the enemy carried out 36 offensive actions. The Russian occupiers are most active in Mirolubivka, Promenia, Hirohorovka, Krutovyar, Petrivka, Pustrinka, Ukrainka, Lysivka. Our defenders bravely hold the lines, repulsed 32 enemy attacks so far, and 4 combats are still ongoing. The settlement of Mirnograd was bombed, on which the terrorists dropped 1 guided aerial bomb. Preliminary calculations of enemy losses in this area today is eliminated 119 and injured 153. 1 tank, 6 armored fighting vehicles, 1 automobile, 4 motorcycles, and 1 Russian mortar were destroyed. An armored combat vehicle and 2 artillery systems were also damaged. So, head down here to Pokrovsk. Lysivka, Petrivka, Vishnemi wasn't mentioned today. Pushinki, oh, where's some other ones here? Krasny Yar, Mirolubivka. So yeah, still heavy attacks ongoing, and very minor updates. Let me just zoom in here to Petrivka. So, because I know I brought this up again and again about the railroad line. You know, they're pushing up this railroad line and pushing out as much as they can from it. And once they get stopped on the railroad line, which is probably going to be with the aid of the river and the bridge, they'll start trying to push out from this area to take over the settlements. Oh, this is going to be an area we need to keep our eyes on and hope that Ukraine is doing the same and does well in this area. And that's what Russians gained today in Pokrovsk. At this time of day, there are 49 combat clashes in the Kharkiv direction. The terrorists, with support of aviation, tried to advance in the areas of Ilanivka, Novoselodivka, Zavdivhanka, Zobnevsyenka, Novodorivka, Maximilianivka, Dolany, Antonivka, Katerinivka, Kremenlobolka, basically the whole area. I mean, that's pretty much every town in the Kharkiv direction. 16 clashes are still ongoing. Our defenders in this direction eliminated 79 Russian soldiers and wounded 139 of them. They also neutralized 4 tanks, 1 armored combat vehicle, and 1 anti-tank missile system of the enemy. And of course, Kharkiv direction, Novodorivka, it starts here. Vasnivka, Novoselodivka, Ilinka, Khodorkov, Dolany, Katerinivka, Antonivka. I mean, it's just assaults all across this whole front line. There's one minor update today that I saw that is interesting. Huge gray zone. And you see this little red dot pop up right here. So, again, a lot of gray zone behind them. Be interesting to see what happens in this area over the next couple days. Of course, intense fighting going on, and there is video from the Khodorkov Dam that has been released now. I will bring that up, and so you guys can see what I have seen. Roll back up because I missed it while I was making the run to the airport. Yeah, as you can tell from the scrolling, I've missed a lot today, and I had to go through everything pretty quickly. Oh, come on, where is it? Yeah, here we go. So, I'm going to play the top one for you. It's a 26-second video. And that is the strike on Khodorkova Reservoir Dam. And you can see two people leaving a position there and walking away at the very end. Come on, let me catch it. Ah. Yeah, you really can't see it come in, but you can, if you watch the explosion directory. So that was from an artillery piece fairly close and off in the direction of the dam. Just to bring this up really quick. So there's the section that we're seeing. So that shell came from this direction. Oop, I get back to here. That is this video. And again, from ZCU official Telegram channel. And here's a video of the aftermath. And Sabaka. So it looks like there were multiple strikes. One in here. It looks like another hit here. And maybe even a third one right there. It's not a catastrophic collapse like the Nova Kakhovka Dam, but it is leaking water. And let's see if I can find that city again. Here we go. There's reports from Bilokomu, Ostriopil, the city north of Ostriopil. That the waters have risen about a meter and a half. It's just shy of 2 yards for my fellow Americans. Thankfully, there is not any homes flooded yet, but a large areas are underwater here. Roads have been washed out and so forth. Basically, from this point back to Khodorkovka, this river valley is almost impassable at the moment, making logistics very hard for Ukraine. It is what it is. We know Russians fear dams for some reason. Maybe they're afraid to take a bath. I don't know. But thankfully, it wasn't a catastrophic failure. The slow, well, I shouldn't say the slow, but the slower leak allows reaction time to get people out of harm's way. And that's, of course, what we all want is less people getting killed in this war. That's the update for Kharkiv direction today. In the Vermits direction, the enemy became more active during the day. 8 attacks by the enemy units were repulsed in the areas of Trudovy, Makarivka, Novodorivka, and Rivnopoli. There are 4 fights. 4 fights ongoing is probably what that means. Just a mistranslation by Google. During the offensive, the enemy actively used aviation in the areas of the settlements of Novodonetsky, Maksimivka, Velika Novoselika, and Zeleny Poli. It's a tough area. Maksimivka, Yazini Polini is here. Vermika direction is here, but Rabumpoli, Novodornika, so that's, it looks like all the attacks are basically in this area. The attacks tend to thin out near Huliopol and then pick back up again in this area of Orikhiv. So let's move on to the Orikhiv. The enemy did not conduct defensive operations in the Hulio direction. Near Novoandriivka, our defenders successfully repulsed one Russian attack in the Orikhiv direction. Novoandriivka is this settlement here. In the Dnieper direction, 5 enemy assaults failed. In addition, the enemy attacks the settlements of, help me out with this one, Odrado, Kamyanka, and Vesely with unguided aerial missiles. There are no significant changes in the situation in other directions. It'd be really hard to find the settlements they're talking about, but I'm assuming the assaults happened in this area. Going to take a quick look and see if I could locate Odrado, Kamyanka, and Vesely. I had to look at it again to be able to pronounce it, yes. And again, it could be right here along the river. It could be back here. They could be anywhere. So it's kind of, unless you know exactly where they're talking about. Rododramkianka is here. Verivka? No, Vesely, okay. Now I found one of them. Let's see if I could find Vesely. I am not seeing it offhand. Let me just take a quick scan up here. Yeah, I'm not seeing it offhand. So if you guys know where that is, shoot me a GPS coordinate and I'd love to know where that town is. Let me just zoom in here and see if it's one of the smaller towns. It is one of the other towns. So the Novokakhovka Dam, Vesely is here. Oradomkan Inka. That's a hard one. That's a tongue twister for my American tongue. So a glide bomb was dropped here and over here. With those bombs being dropped in this direction, I'm wondering if that's where the assaults were taking place. Today, we will celebrate the Ukrainian soldiers from the 44th Separate Artillery Brigade. the 126th Separate Territorial Defense Brigade, the 25th Separate Airborne Brigade, the 79th Separate Treverian Assault Brigade, and the 425th Separate Assault Battalion, who steadfastly restrained the onslaught of overwhelming enemy forces. Let's beat the enemy and bring our victory closer. Glory to Ukraine, and of course, Heroam Slava. Okay. I am going to pull up the air raid map while I catch up with chat so you guys can look at that. And Sally, I read that one already. Um, 50,000 orcs have already attacked in Kursk. I'll get to that in just a minute. Thanks for sharing the stream, Gigi. I appreciate that. Sailing, yeah. Just got. Okay, Kitty Bell, thanks for coming by. I appreciate you. I'm sure you missed that, but when you watch later. Golby, good to see you here. Yeah, I don't think they're going to amaze us with any denials of it. They're probably going to just sit there and say, "Oh, it was a errant shot, and what's the damage? The dam is still there." Daily numbers, yeah, I'll get to that in a second. I want to go over this first, and then I'll go over the losses, and then explain why the losses are where they're at. So, Kyiv City has not had an air alert since 7 p.m. last night. It is almost 5 o'clock in the morning for them, so that's really good news. Zhytomyr Oblast has been under air alert for an hour and 34 minutes. Kyiv Oblast has been under air alert for 3 hours 55 minutes. Cherkasy, 3 hours 55 minutes. Kiev 3 hours 53 minutes. Poltava, 5 hours 44. Chernihiv, also 5 hours 44. Sumy, 5 hours 49 minutes. Kharkiv, 2 hours 15 minutes. And Donetsk, 1 hour 26 minutes. Oh, keep that in the background for right now. And enemy losses for today. The 993rd day of the invasion, November 12th, 2024, 1,950 personnel. The power situation is not excellent. Talking with my friends in Kyiv, there were emergency power outages for several hours yesterday and today. But getting back on the losses, this is a record. The previous record was 1,770. Today's almost 2,000. 23 tanks were lost by Russia. 81 APVs were lost. 38 artillery systems. 4 multi-launch rocket systems. 61 UAVs. 68 vehicles and 6 special equipment. The reason that is happening is Russia suffers its deadliest day of the war as it fails to retake city held by Ukrainians. In chaotic Kursk, Russian vehicles roll right up to Ukrainian tanks. Of course, Kiev Post. Black day for Russia. Ukraine crushes Moscow offensive in Kursk, destroying battalion and over 200 soldiers. I know Kiev Post isn't paywalled. Ukrainian forces repelled a major Russian offensive in Kursk, destroying a battalion, 28 armored vehicles, and inflicting over 200 casualties on Russia. Ukraine's defense forces repelled a powerful Russian offensive in the Kursk region and destroyed a battalion of Russian soldiers. Reported the press officer for the 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade. I know the 47th has a YouTube channel, and it's going to be worth checking on that YouTube channel in the next day or two, because I think they're going to have some good videos to share. Again, they're talking about yesterday was truly a black day for the Russian occupiers. They're saying this on the 12th, which is today for us, but it's confusing with the timestamp. This assault happened on the 11th, the night of the 11th, morning of the 12th. Black day for Russia occupiers who tried to storm in 5 to 6 waves. The Russians tried to attack with vehicles, with paratroopers, and storm Ukrainian settlements. However, 10 units of armored vehicles were destroyed by the warriors of the 47th. 3 enemy BTRs were blown up by mines, while the rest of the equipment was destroyed using FPV drones and Stugna anti-tank systems. Other armored vehicles were destroyed by our adjacent units. A group of invaders was liquidated, and those who survived scattered through the fields. The overall situation in the area is difficult, but under control. Analyst Julian Rupoke writes, Russian forces are carrying out a large-scale offensive operation in the Kursk region to push Ukrainian forces back. But they are suffering enormous losses. Russia is suffering enormous losses. Analyzing the situation after 3 days of intense Russian counterattacks in the Kursk region, Rupoke said that Russian forces had lost 28 units of armored vehicles, mostly BTR 82As, over 200 soldiers killed or wounded. He said that this is a catastrophe for Putin and his generals. Worth noting that Putin has ordered Kursk to be retaken by January 20th. Why does that date sound familiar? On November 10th, New York Times reported that Russian and North Korean troops were preparing to launch an assault. Yesterday, the 11th, they started the assault. Today was ongoing from that, and is continuing through the night. As Ukrainian President Zelensky stated on Monday evening, Ukraine's defense forces are holding back 50,000 Russian soldiers in the Kursk direction, preventing them from fighting on Ukrainian territory. Ukrainian Special Operation Forces announced a successful behind-the-lines operation in Russia's Kursk region that resulted in 14 servicemen being killed and 3 others taken prisoner. Those who made the right decision to surrender were provided first aid and evacuated to safety. So a lot is happening up there. A lot of videos are going to start coming out about it probably tomorrow, if not the day after. Speaking anonymously, a Ukrainian military officer highlighted the use of advanced equipment by the Special Forces team during the mission, including camouflage suits, night vision, illumination sights, collimator sights on there. I'm not sure what that is. And drone reconnaissance from within enemy territory. As previously reported, Ukrainian operations in Kursk region over the past 3 months have cost Russia over 20,000 personnel, with 7,905 killed, 12,220 wounded, and more than 700 captured. Ukraine Support Forces Command also announced that in October alone, Russian forces in the Kursk region reportedly lost 20 military vehicles due to Ukrainian-laid minefields. So, yeah, big news about Kursk. Even though it's not in here, I wish they would give more information about it, but I understand the reasoning for not doing so in the news on the site. This is publicly available information. Anybody can access site, including Russia, and Ukraine does not want to give Russia any more information than they absolutely have to. If it's reported here, there's really no denying that the Ukrainian army is saying that. Or if it's reported by the Kiev Post, well, that's their own counting. That's not ours. Or, there's deniability to it. Before we go into the rest of the news for today from the mass media, let me backtrack a little bit here and go into the speech for Zelensky so I can rest my throat a little bit.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці, українки. Головне за сьогодні. Перше, є рішення для багатьох наших воїнів, які хочуть перевестись в інший підрозділ в Збройних силах України. Кабінет міністрів сьогодні затвердив постанову. Технічно функціонал готовий. Міністерство оборони визначить, як стартуватиме система. Все має працювати через Армію Плюс. Жодної бюрократії. Має бути чітка відповідь на кожен рапорт. Міністерство оборони має пояснити суспільству всі деталі, що на першому тестовому етапі, що після повного запуску. Всі рішення військових командирів по рапортам будуть моніторитись, щоб не було необґрунтованих відмов. Алгоритм реагування на рапорт визначений. Система має запрацювати саме так, як ми про це говорили із хлопцями на передовій та з представниками громадянського суспільства. І я вдячний усім, хто був залучений до розробки цього нового функціоналу. Сьогодні ж доручив Міністерство оборони та Генеральному штабу доповісти, як поширити цю можливість на всі сили оборони та безпеки, зокрема на Національну гвардію України та прикордонну службу. Всі наші воїни заслуговують на однакову повагу. Друге. Провів детальну нараду щодо інших питань, про які ми говорили з представниками громадянського сектору. Питання про офіцерські звання та посади. Є вже бачення, як це можна зробити більш сучасно. Технологічна ставка. Ми погодили формат роботи і триває визначення конкретного складу, і відповідальних осіб. санкції і тиск на Росію, зокрема проти тіньового танкерного флоту. Є система заходів, будемо більше працювати з партнерами, хоча це і непросто. Третє. Вірчі грамоти від послів країн наших партнерів, які почали працювати в Україні. Посли Греції, Албанії, Японії та Єгипту. Я сьогодні переговорив з кожним. Разом маємо робити все можливе для відновлення повної дієвості міжнародного права і підтримки України і звичайної людської справедливості того, на що заслуговує кожен народ. І ще одне. Підписав сьогодні кілька указів про санкції проти російських підприємств та фізичних осіб, які працюють заради інтересів держави-агресора і забезпечують їй можливість уникати відповідальності за війну. І Україна обов'язково скоординує такі свої санкції із санкціями партнерів. Зокрема, у тому, що стосується авіаінфраструктури Росії. І ще указ про встановлення професійного дня Державного бюро розслідувань. Сьогодні вже 9-та річниця ухвалення закону про Державне бюро розслідування. Я дякую кожному і кожній в структурі ДБР, хто дбає про державні інтереси і власною роботою забезпечує більші можливості для справедливості в Україні. Відзначив нагородами хлопців з Державного бюро розслідувань. На жаль, 2 посмертно. Хлопці виконували завдання в прифронтовій зоні. І зараз ще запланована розмова з прем'єр-міністром Канади. Багато питань. Головне, наша подальша взаємодія з Канадою та загалом з державами Групи Семи заради зміцнення наших спільних позицій і захисту України і всіх партнерів від постійного російського бажання завдати ще більше шкоди війною і втручанням. Дякую всім, хто з України. Слава Україні!
Героям слава. And just want to point out one thing. I'll mute it here for a second. I think all those who stand with Ukraine, that is you guys. He makes sure he knows how much help is coming from private citizens. He realizes how much donations have helped, and that is why he includes this line in every speech. Make no mistake about it. If you are donating to a unit, donating to United 24 or whatever, the sniffing brigade or drone fundraisers or anything, he is thanking you right there every day. He covered a lot in this speech that seems rather mundane. To us, but when you dive deeper into it, I'm going to pull up a different map that normally I don't, from military land. So go to military land and operational sectors. I'll just pull this one up. So the reason I wanted to pull this up is it has different units. He was talking about the ability of Army members to transfer from one unit to the next. They're not talking about, oh, I want to go from this unit to this unit, but more like, yeah, I'm in say the 414 Marine Strike, but my cousin is over here in the 123rd. He would have to, if he wanted to transfer over and be in the same unit with his cousin, he would have to ask for not permission from his commander, the 123rd commander, and have it approved by a general. And all three of those people would have to approve it before a transfer could take place. And it was just a long, drawn out process that was overly complicated. Ukraine has basically streamlined this and made it easier and more fair and accountable. So there isn't room for corruption. There isn't room for favoritism. And it makes the soldiers only has to write one letter, one application. I want to transfer from here to here. Here's the reasons why. Instead of doing that 3 separate times for his unit commander, the personnel director of the army, and then the unit commander of the other unit. And it just makes it so much easier and is a way for Ukraine to help start progressing to become a NATO aligned state. It was also talking about positions for, officer positions and such. Again, that's aligning him, modernizing the command structure of the army to fit in line with NATO and EU military. So that makes me think, and this is just my opinion, not, any report I read, just my opinion. This makes me think that behind the scenes there's more talks than what's being released to the public. There was some other stuff that he covered that I can't remember right now. It's just there was so much little details in his speech today. It's hard to remember it all. But that was Zelensky's speech for the day. Let's get back into the mass media for today. Russian doctor jailed for 5 years over alleged Ukraine war remarks. And who put him in jail for 5 years? A child testifying in court. That's how paranoid Russia is about people talking bad about the Ukrainian war in Russia. This is a very misleading headline. Russian drone and missile strikes on Ukrainian targets have increased in frequency in the since the U.S. election. Killing civilians, destroying another dam. Russian troops continue to make incremental gains toward the city of Pokrovsk, preparing new offensive using North Korean troops. So it talks about a lot of the points of the war. Maybe it does it after the paywall, but it's this is the part of it that stuck out in my mind. For nearly 3 years, many people from both sides of the aisle In Europe, America have called for negotiations to end the Russian invasion. Biden administration repeatedly probed the possibility of negotiations. The German government endlessly probes negotiations. Now there's a new team in the White House, and it will be demanding negotiations as well. But somehow Trump's going to be able to do it, and nobody else could. That was sarcasm, by the way. You know, the other thing that gave me a giggle, and I know this has been out there, Putin congratulated Trump on his election, but implied that that Trump would have to initiate the talks. This is Putin's demands before even thinking about doing peace talks, is basically what is said here. U.S. has to initiate the talks. We have to drop our sanctions on Russia and refuse to offer any further support for Ukraine. In other words, Russian victory. Meanwhile, he's demanding all this from Trump. Russian state television welcomes the news of the election and gleefully shows off nude photos of Melania Trump to their nation, uncensored, on TV. Yeah. I'm beginning to wonder if Trump can stand up to Putin at all. I'm beginning to think no, if he can't talk back and defend his wife on this, how's he gonna do anything for anybody else? You know, if I was married and someone was showing nude photos of my wife, I'd be throwing fists. And so far, Trump's just sat back and took it. But I still don't see how how Putin isn't fighting for land. Still. Yeah, I'm not even going to give that the time of day because it's pure propaganda. And it goes back into, we already covered Kursk, but it goes back into that decoy drone and, Putin's basically thumbing his nose at Trump right now, and he's making Trump look weak. And, hopefully, he has a lot of snapback commentary for people that, like Biden and Harris and, can name call other people, but doesn't stand up for himself, his wife, or anybody else when someone's doing it to him. So, typical bully thing. You push a bully and they crumble. I don't know, but he's looking really weak right now, and that's not a good thing for America or Ukraine or pretty much anybody else in the world that relies on the U.S. for defense. That is it for... Oh, I remember the other thing you talked about that I wanted to bring up. He was talking about increasing sanctions Let me bring this over here. For the Ghost oil fleet. Like off the coast of Portugal here in international waters, they have basically tied together a bunch of super tankers, and they're using smaller oil tankers to ferry oil from Novorossiysk and like St. Petersburg. And they're using different countries' flags to buy the oil, transport it here, take it to India, supposedly sell it to an Indian company, and then since it's there, it's sold as oil from India to wherever they want to make a full profit. That's what Zelensky was talking about. That's how they're avoiding sanctions, because India is buying Russian oil and basically laundering oil for Russia. I never thought I'd say laundering oil, but they're not laundering money, they're laundering the oil for Russia. It goes into India as Russian oil and comes out as any other oil from anywhere else in the world. Yeah, I did see that. There's actually more said about that in one of these posts, and I can't remember which one I was looking at. I wonder if it was here. Okay, no. I have to look that one up again, but yeah, the top advisor for Putin was talking about how Trump owes what he owes. You know, almost might as well have done the mafia thumb nose thing. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But if Putin's going to make Trump look weak and still try and pull that "you owe me," either one of the two things is going to happen. Trump's going to snap back and actually stand up for himself, or everybody else in the world is going to see how weak Trump really is, and America's going to have a shitstorm on its hands. Pardon my language. This is the other story I wanted to talk about, and I forgot about it until I came back here. Representatives of the armed forces of Ukraine took part in a presentation and flight test of the Ukrainian Mavic. No fancy coverings, but given the high demand for certain types of UAVs in the Defense Forces, its important event was held at the initiative of the Military Strategic Industries of Ukraine. At one of the training grounds, a presentation and demonstration flights of Ukrainian drones for reconnaissance and fire adjustment took place. Analogs of the most common on the front, Mavic. Almost 10 Ukrainian companies presented their innovative solutions in the field of UAVs. The main goal is to create and put into mass production Ukrainian drones similar to the Mavic drones made in China. It must be a military product resistant to electronic warfare with an integrated reset system and other functions, so even better than the Mavic. Ukrainian developers know well what the characteristics and functionality of a drone should have on the battlefield. They closely cooperate with combat units of and UAV operators. The importance of creating a necessity. Bleh. Some of this is the translation. Some of this is my dyslexia kicking in. The importance of creating a reliable and practical drone for the Defense Forces of Ukraine was emphasized by the Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Army, Andriy Lubdenko, during his participation in the event. So this is just one of 10 companies producing a replacement for the DJI Mavic. Ukraine is going to be the top leader in defense units after this war. And Trump could screw over our defensive capabilities if we don't support Ukraine. They might keep us from getting the technology that they've advanced during this war. Just saying. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to cover from yesterday is, let's go here. I know a lot of you guys are tired of Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it. And I knew there was a replacement out there for it. And this is it, Blue Sky. Essentially a Twitter clone, but without all the crap from Elon Musk and actual engagement, posts from real people, not robots. That's funny. So definitely worth checking out. If you guys do social media, check into Blue Sky. Let me know if it's worth doing. I might join you on here. The other thing I want to cover is just going to regular news here. And I know I don't cover U.S. politics a lot, but I just wanted to cover this right here. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy to lead Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. I need to move to Ukraine. Yeah, I saw that and I can't get it out of my head that, okay, I can understand Vivek Ramaswamy because he's part of the party. He is a political person, but Elon Muskovoy, yeah, that. So, gonna go back to Air Alert Map here, catch up with you guys on chat. Oh, it's a former secretary of the Security Council? Okay. Yeah, it Trump's in a lose-lose with that situation with Putin right now. and he's going to be forced into a position where he has to strong arm Russia to not look weak, or everybody's just going to start walking over him. And if we keep him in, that's going to be bad for us. ATP Geopolitics and Merck are on Blue Sky already. Okay, I'll message Merck and see what he says about it, and I might be on Blue Sky tomorrow. Musk was born in South Africa. He is green. He is an immigrant to the U.S. There are other sane countries out there, Aussie T, but Ukraine's the only one I want to move to. That's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I thank you for supporting me in the stream and helping get the word out there. I especially thank you for supporting Ukraine. We all need to come together in these uncertain times and lift up each other. Let's not give in to the Russian bots and shit and infight. Let's lift each other up and move forward. It's never more crucial than right now. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Have a good night and stay safe, everybody. Oh, of course, Razom the Peremojomo.